friends. Today we will discuss about one of the GATE question which is given in GATE 2020. So they have given one schedule which consists of two transactions, transaction 1 and transaction 2. It is transaction 1 consists of set of operations, transaction 2 consists of another set of operations, where RA is nothing but reading a data item A and WB is written on the data item B, and we have a commit operations. So what they are asking is that they are asking what is the conflict equivalent. They have given four options A, B, C, D, and they are asking what this schedule is conflict equivalent to what schedule. Means they have given four options A, B, C, D, and they have given four transactions for C. Option A they have given one schedule, option B another schedule, and they are asking the given question is conflict equivalent to what schedule they are asking. Now what is conflict equivalent? Before solving this question you should know what is conflict equivalent operation. Means when I can say two schedules are conflict equivalent. Let's take that I have a schedule S1, I have a schedule S2. When I can say that these two schedules are conflict equivalent is, first I need to find what are the conflict operations which are there in the schedule S1. Suppose let's say, I think everyone know what are the conflict operations. If you have a read and a write, means a transaction 1 is performing a read operation, after that transaction 2 is performing a write operation, then we can say that it is a conflict. Similarly, transaction 1 is performing a write option, then transaction 2 is reading that value, then it is a conflict. Similarly, if transaction 1 is writing on a data item and transaction 2 is also writing on the same data item, then I will say that it is a conflict. Whereas transaction 1 is reading a value and transaction 2 is also reading on the same data item, then we will say that it is not a conflict. However, these three options are conflict operations. Now you can ask me, sir, whether this one is a conflict operation, like read A, transaction 1 is reading a data item A and transaction 2 is writing on the data item B. Then we can clearly say that it is not a conflict operation. Why? This is performing on two different data items, so I can say that it is not a conflict operation. So we will find in schedule S1 what are the conflict operations. Similarly, we will find what are the conflict operations in the schedule S2. Then the number of conflict operations, suppose in this one if we have 4, let's take that after solving the schedule S1, if we find that 4 conflict operations, in schedule S2 also we should find equal number of conflict operations. The condition 1 is that the number of conflict operations in the schedule S1 should be equal to the number of conflict operations in the schedule S2. That is the first condition. Then the second condition is the order also should be same. Okay, the order of conflict operations also should be same. Meaning is that, let's take that here I have in schedule S1 if I have a read A and write A to A conflict. Meaning is that read 1 means read is performing on the transaction 1 on a data item A, then write to A is transaction 2 is writing on the same data item. If you are finding one conflict operation like this, then in schedule S2 also you should find the conflict operation like this one. Meaning is that the same sequence should be there. The order of the conflict operation, like read 1A, write to A, in schedule S2 also somewhere, not like if it is there in the, if this is the first conflict operation, here also it should be not the first conflict of that order we are not talking. Okay, let's say a lot of people will confuse with this order. The order means, let's take that if I have got 4 conflict operations here, 1, 2, 3, 4 in schedule S1. In schedule S2 also I got 4 conflict operations. Obviously they should get, if they want to be equal, they should get the equal number of conflict operations. Now this one, like read 1A, write to A is a conflict operation if you are getting in the first one, it should not be in the one also. In the schedule S2, it should not be in the first conflict operation. It can be a conflict operation 3, but the order, this order, read 1A, meaning is that read 1A means transaction 1 is reading on a data item A, W2A means transaction 2 is writing on a data item A. So this order should be same. I hope you have understood how to find the conflict equivalent. Means the first thing is that the number of conflict operations in the both the schedules should be same, and the order of the conflict operations also should be same. Then we will say that schedule S1 is conflict equivalent to schedule S2. Okay. So now with this background, we will solve this question. Okay. So first we have to find what are the conflict operations are there in the given schedule, which consists of two transactions. Let me solve it for you. So if you see this, we have a read A. Now you have to find anywhere write A is there in the transaction 2. Here we have a read A. This operation is conflicting with any other operation in the transaction 2 or not, we need to find it out. See here read B, that is not a read and read, obviously it is not a conflict. However, there are two data items, we can say that it is not a conflict operation. Now read A, write B. As I said earlier, read and write is a conflict. However, they are performing on two data items. One is on A and the one is on B, then it is not a conflict operation. Read A, this one is not a conflict operation because both are read anyway. However, they are performing on two different data items. Now, this is also not a conflict. You can ask me, sir, why you are not checking in the transaction 1 operations? We should not check with the operations in the transaction 1. We should check with the operations with the transaction 2. Okay, so there is no conflict with the read A operation. So we have finished this operation. Now we will come to the read B. Read B, we have to check with the operations with the transaction T1. We should not compare with its own operations. So we should compare. This one is not a conflict. This one is not a conflict. This one is a conflict. Read B, write B. One is performing a read operation, another one is performing on a write operation, and they are performing on the same data item called B. So it is a conflict. Then how we will write is that we will write read 2B to write 1B. Meaning is that read operation is performed by the transaction 2, write operation is performed by the transaction 1. So this one is finished. Now we will come to this one. This one is not a conflict. Is not a conflict. This one is a conflict. Why? Both are performing write operations on the same data item B. So I can say that it is a conflict operation. So write 2B. Okay, to write 1B. Is it clear? Write operation is performed by the transaction 2 and similarly write operation is performed by the transaction 1 on a same data item. So we have found the number of conflict operations with this operation. We will check with this one. Okay, read C, read D is not a conflict. Read C, write C is a conflict. So what is the conflict operation? R1 of C to W2 of C. Okay, I hope you are able to understand. Now the number of conflict operations with this one is finished. Now we will come to this one. Okay, read D, write D. It is a conflict. So what is the conflict operation? R2 of D to W1 of D. Okay, read is performing by the transaction 2 on the data item D, and similarly write operation is performed by the transaction 1 on the data item D. So this is finished because there are no other conflicts because this is on a data item B. And we will check this one. WD, write on D, but there is no operations on the data item D in the transaction 2, we no need to worry. So this is also finished. Similarly, we will come to here, write C. Now after write C, what are the operations are performed by the transaction 1? The transaction 1 is performing write B and commit. This is performing on a data item C, then this one is performing on a data item B. So we can say that they are not conflict operations. So we have finished for the write C operation. So we will check this one. After this write B operation, what are the operations are performed on the transaction 2? If you see that only commit operation is performed, so it is not a conflict operation. So we have found that there are 4 conflict operations are possible in the schedule S1. So we can say that now what we have to do, similarly we have to find that conflict operations for the option A, option B, option C and option D. If it is equivalent to any one, then we will say that the given schedule is conflict equivalent to one of the schedule in the given options. Okay, so now I will write the option A and then we will solve it when we will check whether it is equivalent to given schedule or not. Then we will go through it. Okay. We will solve the option A and we will find the number of conflict operations in the option A. We will write it as this is schedule S2. So we will find the conflict operations in the schedule S2. If they are equivalent to given question, then we will say that this is the right answer. This is the right option and we will go for the tick. So everyone will get the good marks in the gate. But first thing we have to check, in the given schedule, in the given question we have 2 transactions. In the option A also there are 2 transactions. Then we can solve the question. If let's take that they have given an option consists of 3 transactions, whereas in the given question consists of only 2 transactions and the option consists of 3 transactions, then directly we can say that it is not conflict equivalent. So we will solve this one because it consists of 2 transactions. So we will see. First we will check this option, read A, whether this operation is creating any conflict with the operations in the transaction 2 or not. We will check. Now this is a read A. There is no other operation performed on data item A. So we can check that this is a safe operation and it is not creating any conflict with the operations in the transaction 2. Now we will see the read C. Read C, this is not on a data item C. We no need to worry. This is also not on a data item C. This is also not on a data item C. This is on a data item C, where this is a read operation and this is a write operation. So we can say that it is a conflict and the conflict is R1 of A to W2 of C. Okay. This is R1 of C to W2 of C, because this is performing on a transaction 1 and this is performing in transaction 2. So that's why I'm writing a suffix as read 1 of C, write 2 of C. So this is finished. Now we will check write D. Now this is on a data item B, this is on a data item B, so it is not a conflict operation, and this is a read D. So this is a conflict operation because this is write and this is read on same data item called D. So we can say that it is a conflict operation which is noted as R1 of D to R2 of D. Okay. W1 why I am writing is that it is a write operation in the transaction 1 on a data item D, and read operation is performed in transaction 2 on data item D. So this is a conflict operation. So we will come to this one, write B, and then we got a read B. So it is a conflict operation. So I can write like this. So we got 3 conflict operations. Now we will come to this one. Now if you see that after this one read B, there are no other operations in the transaction 1. There is only commit operation. Commit operation is for permanently storing the what are the changes you are doing on the data items. To permanently save it on, we will use the commit operations. But if you are seeing the read B, there are no further operations in the transaction 1, so we can say that it will not create any conflict. Similarly, all these operations, after these operations, there are no other operations in the transaction 1, so we can say that these operations will not create any conflict with the operations in the transaction 1. So for this given schedule, we found that there are 3 conflict operations. Now we will check whether this one and this option A is equivalent to given question. If you see that the first condition is that in both the schedules, if the both schedules S1 and S2, if they want to be conflict equivalent, the first condition should be the number of conflict operations in the both the schedules should be same. In the option A, we found that there are 3 conflict operations, and in the given question we found that we got 4 conflict operations. 3 is not equivalent to 4, so I can say that the first condition itself is not satisfied, so I can say that option A is not a right option for the given question. So now we will solve the option B, and we will solve the option C, and we will see the option D which is equivalent to given schedule, then we will go for that answer. Now we will solve the option B. So even they have given 2 transactions in the schedule, so we will solve this one. We have a read B, and in the transaction 1, where is the right B we have to find, or where is this right B we need to check. Read A, read C, right D, right B. This is a conflict. If that read B, right B is there, then only it is a conflict, otherwise it is not a conflict operation. So what is the conflict operation we found? R2 of B to W1 of B. Okay, so this is the first conflict operation we have found. Then we will check this one. Right B is there in the transaction 2. We need to find in transaction 1 whether read B is there or right B, because read B and this is right B to read B or right B to right B also conflict. So we have to see it is a read A, it is on a different data item, this is on a different data item, this is on a same data item, and it is performing a write operation. So we can say that it is a conflict operation. So what is the notation we have to write? Write 2 of B because it is performing on transaction 2, and write 1 of B it is because it is performing on a transaction 1. So we have finished with the finding the what are the conflict operations with this operation in transaction 2. Similarly, we will see the what are the conflict operations are possible with this operation called read on data item D. This is the conflict operation. Why not these two? Because they are on 2 different data items, so we no need to check it. Write D, so it is a conflict operation. So R2 of D to W1 of D. So it is another conflict operation. So we found that. So we have found that what are the conflict operations are possible with this operation. Now we will check read, write this, and it is performing on 2 different data items, so it is not a conflict operation. Now read C, write C, it is a conflict operation because they are performing on same data item, and one is performing read operation, another one is performing a write operation, so it is a conflict operation. So I can write it as R1 of C because it is a read in transaction 1 on data item C to W2 of C because it is performing on transaction 2 on a data item C. Okay, we will see this one. Write D. There is no operations performed on data item D in transaction 2 after this, so we no need to worry. And this one also, because there are no other operations are performed on data item B, so it will not create any conflict operations in the transaction 2. So this one write C. After this operation, there are no other operations performed on a data item C. We no need to worry what are the conflict operations possible with the write C. In this question, there are no conflict operations possible with this operation which is performed in transaction 2. And we have a commit and we have a commit. So this commit is useful for you to store the operations, means what are the modifications you are doing. All these modifications, if you want to save it permanently, then we will use this commit operation. Okay, so we have found that there are 4 conflict operations are possible. Okay, in option B, we found that there are 4 conflict operations, and in the given question also, there are 4 conflict operations. So we can say that the first condition is satisfied. What is the first condition? The number of conflict operations in the two schedules, schedule S1 and schedule S2, excuse me, if the two schedules are conflict equivalent, the number of conflict operations in both the schedules should be same. Here we found that the number of conflict operations in this schedule is 4 and in this schedule is also 4. Okay, so the first condition is satisfied. And the second condition is each conflict operations, the order should be same in the this one also. So we will see read B, write B. Anywhere you find that read B, write B on transaction 2 and transaction 1. If you see that the same conflict operation is also there in the given question, read to B, read to B, write 1B, write 1B. So I can say that they are equivalent. Okay, now we will see this one. Write 2 of B, write 1 of B. Here also we have the same. So these two are equivalent. Now read 2 of B, write 1 of B. If you see that this is not equivalent to this one, but this is equivalent to 4. That's what I am saying, that the order here is not same. Here this conflict operation came in the 3, here it came as 4th conflict operation. That is not a problem. But this order, read 2, this is also read 2 on that item D, and this is also write 1D, write 1D, because it is saying that transaction 2 to transaction 1. This is also saying that transaction 2 to transaction 1. Now I can say that they are equal. Yeah. Now we will see. Read 1 of C, read 1 of C, write 2 of C, write 2 of C. Yeah, this is also correct. So the order of conflict operations are also same. Now I can say that for these two schedules, the schedule given in the option B and the schedule given in the question are conflict equivalent. So for this question, the option B is the right answer. Okay, as we found that what is the right answer for this question, we will not solve the option C and option D. If you want to practice, you can go for the Greeks or anywhere you find this GATE 2020 question and you solve the option C and option D for practice. Thank you.